Hi, so I'm going to give you a quick tutorial on how to chop a couple different veggies. I'm preparing to make omelets tonight, so I need lots of veggies for that. First, I kind of want to show you some different knives. This is a paring knife. It's best for fruit like apples, strawberries, grapes, that sort of thing. Small, basically.
Come on over.
Yeah. This one is it's just another paring knife. It's a little bit bigger. This one was a freebie, but it's a good one, so it's worth the money I spent on it. This is a tomato knife by Pampered Chef, so I'm going to use it on my tomato. And then this is just a chopping knife. I don't even know where this came from. We've had it for forever.
We inherited it from a grandfather, I think.
Yeah, so we've had it for a really long time. So, this is for chopping. I'm gonna do my onion first.
Knives are for chopping.
Well,
in a nutshell, that's what we just told you.
Yeah, basically.
We don't really have all kinds of crazy specialty knives and stuff. We're not Ginsu.
No, and you could use this knife for all three of these. It's not great for the tomato though. Before I had the tomato knife, I would use a paring for the tomato. So, I've already peeled off my outer layer of onion. And I kind of want to peel off this layer too, because it looks a little dry. Yeah. Yep, peeling this one off.
What made you decide that?
It looked a little dry right here, and see there's like a little dry spot. Like it was getting ready to turn into a peeling. So, hello my child. I'm chopping veggies. Okay.
I would like to help make dinner.
Oh, I'm making omelets.
Yes! I'm definitely going to help.
Okay, can you start by throwing this away?
Yeah.
Great, and then you need to wash your hands. Okay, which I have already washed my hands. I did that before I started. For an onion, you chop off the top. And so, like there, you don't want to go down here. You're going to cut off too much of your onion. So as close to the top as you can. So you get down to the good juicy part. This is the stuff that makes you cry. I don't know if you can see it on the video, but it's like the liquid that comes out of onions. You didn't know there was onion juice, did you? But that's the stuff that makes you cry. Don't touch your eyeballs now that you've touched your onion, because then you will really cry. So to chop the onion, you might want to get on this side so you can see the face of the onion. We're gonna make straight slits down, parallel lines, down from each other.
Hi.
And I'm not going all the way down. Hi, baby. You can see I'm stopping at the base, not going all the way to the base. Stop, Samuel. I'm gonna flip it and keep going. This is just so that I'm cutting away from my hand and not towards my hand. Okay, so now I'm turning it 90 degrees to cut perpendicular slits to my original slits. It's a math lesson today too, I guess. You gotta know parallel and perpendicular. So basically you're making a grid of chop lines across your onion. And I'm gonna turn it 180 degrees. Again, so I'm cutting away from my fingers. Whenever I get close to my hand, that's what I do. And kind of towards the edge, it gets a little bit difficult. Your fingers get in the way, but you gotta hold it down. Okay, now we're gonna cut crosswise, which means we're gonna start at the top and cut all the way down to the bottom. So we're no longer cutting our slits. We're basically cutting off our slits, which gives us these nice little diced pieces.
That is very nice.
And as we get towards the bottom where my slits kind of stopped, you get bigger pieces, but that's okay. Okay, so there is my onion.
Yeah, and so that I was always really surprised by just how much you would leave over for the onion. That it's obviously more than half, but you got the middle bit.
I mean, I could chop more off if I wanted to, but I don't, and I don't need it. This is just for omelets. I'm gonna have extra onion left over anyway. So.
By doing it that way, you always have more than enough onion for whatever you might need it for. So typically, just whenever it calls for onion, you just cut your onion there. You don't have to measure out a cup or whatever, right?
I'm not a fan of measuring onions. I don't know why. I just never measure onions. So if it says use a cup of an onion, I'm like, well, we'll just use a whole onion. And if it says use a half a cup of onion, well, let's just use the whole onion. Because in general, I don't like keeping onion in the fridge because it makes your whole refrigerator smell.
Ooh, that's a good point. It does,
Yeah.
no matter how good the container smells.
So I'm going to, in between my veggies, excuse me.
Whoop, sorry.
I'm going to wipe off my knife and my cutting board. It's not super necessary, but I don't really want onion juice on my pepper.
But at least you guys understand that it's on the cutting board now.
Yeah, it is. So I have different cutting boards for different things. So I have a vegetable cutting board, and I have a poultry cutting board, and I have a red meat cutting board, so that you don't cross-contaminate. Even when you wash them, they're still, I don't know, paranoid me still thinks that there might be a chance of accidentally cross-contaminating. So to cut your pepper, you cut off the top, and then you stick it and pull out the guts. All these little bits.
Make that really cool crunching sound.
Yeah.
It lets you know you got a really good pepper. And
Yeah.
you can smell the delicious pepperness.
And I just turned it upside down to knock out the last of the seeds.
Yeah, again, there's the part here with the pepper that, oh, you could nitpick and cut those around, but seriously, just chop it
It's not
down with it.
necessary. It's not necessary. And then I cut between these veins here, like that. Which that one didn't really cut as evenly as I wanted it to. That's okay. So we're basically cutting it into sections. Because these veiny parts where the seeds kind of attach, they don't taste as good as the rest of the pepper. So that's going to be trash. Okay, now I'm going to cut these bigger pieces into strips. And so if I was going to make like fajitas or maybe a salad, I would leave them in strip form. My purpose today is for omelets, so I'm going to dice them down smaller. But baby steps, right?
Yeah, and the cool thing about always doing it the same way is that if you need the little strips of pepper, you got them. And that's what you're used to doing.
This is just the easiest, fastest, best way I know of cutting a pepper. And it wasn't like I just knew how to do it. You know, to me, it like initially just thinking about learning how to cut veggies, I think you just chop it down into rings and then chop the rings into smaller pieces. That's how I do potatoes. That's how you do every veggie, right? That's how I used to do onions. Before some wonderful woman showed me a much easier, faster way. Okay, so now I'm just gonna kind of clump all my strips together and hold them in place with my hands very carefully and chop them crosswise to make my nice little diced pieces. This is the same way that I cut celery and carrots when they need to be diced.
Oh yeah, carrots are much harder because they're just so dense.
They are. So I tend to use, it's not clean. I tend to use a bigger knife when I cut carrots, which must be in the dishwasher. Okay, so my pepper's done. See how fast that went?
Yeah.
I just use the edge of my blade to swipe everything into the bowl and make a mess because I'm not good at that part.
Well, that's understandable.
And it's okay if you get some of those seeds that you knocked out. If you get those in your bowl with your pepper, they're not going to hurt you to eat. They're just going to add maybe a little bit more zest
Yes.
to your meal.
Yeah, definitely the word for it.
I'm just going to wipe down my board again. I'm not going to wipe down my knife because I'm switching to my tomato knife to cut my tomatoes with.
And it's pretty similar to the steak knives that we've got here with the serrations.
Yeah.
They're fairly similar, interestingly enough.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's just not the same. This is a very, very nice knife. It breaks the skin
So,
right through.
Yeah, it's really good on the skin, and you can get thinner slices with it. Again, we're dicing. So I just cut off the top. And I'm going to make slices. And then I'll slice those down into dices.
Yeah. Now, whenever we whenever you're putting tomato slices on something, say for hamburgers or pizza or whatever it might be, making those slices really thin, just take that time.
Yeah.
Turns out really cool.
So there's a couple schools of thought onto whether or not you use the bottom of the tomato. Some people say you shouldn't. I don't see why, because it's made of the same skin that's on the rest of the tomato. So it does not bother me. So I'm just making, I guess, tomato strips. And then I'll spin it and make them diced.
You didn't do the whole thing, though.
No, I just do a couple at a time because tomatoes are slippery. I usually only do 2 or 3 slices at a time. That way they don't slip out from underneath me and I accidentally chop my finger off.
Okay, yeah.
Because that would be bad.
You got all your fingers, so you must have a lot of success so far.
Yeah. Yeah. So you probably can't hear it, but it makes a little sound as it cuts down.
Yeah, you got to use your feeling, the feeling in your fingertips too. That
Yeah.
sensory information gives you a lot to go on.
Okay. And it, just like with the rest of them, I'm just going to scoop them up into my bowl.
And that is dicing vegetables.
Yes, that is how you dice vegetables. I dice potatoes the same way I just did the tomatoes. I dice carrots and celery the same way I did the peppers. And onions are really the only ones that I dice in that particular way. But that's diced veggies in a nutshell. I hope you learned something new. Have a great day.